This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to my review of Cloak of Deception. This is another just great Star Wars novel by the legendary James Luceno, and honestly, I just love his work. I read this just after I finished that last Republic Commando book, and when I was starting the next one that I just couldn't read through it. As I mentioned before, it was just too hard for me to get through in terms of just it felt like nothing was going on in that one, and this one, even one there's parts where it's just set on Coruscant and nothing much is happening. So I was able to just write such a compelling story, characters, and everything. It really just makes the story so much better. And on the other hand, I mean, as I said, the Republic Commando book was fine, but it wasn't incredible. But this one, I mean, this was such a great time I had. It is not his best work, because easily that has to be Plagueis, which is very heavily was made to tie into retroactively because it's released before Plagueis, but the events of it are referenced in the book, and I am glad that that was done because honestly, it's a really solid story. While I kind of knew at the back of my head what the twist was with the assassination, I wasn't connecting it to this specific event. I was reading it and I was reading about the Trade Federation Directorate. I remember that they do get killed off, and that's normally put Gunray as the sole person in charge of the Trade Federation. And I just forgot the part of Plagueis where it talks about how that happens specifically with the battle droids and the operation on Iriadu. And I was glad of that because basically, like when I got to the point of the book, I was like, oh yeah, that's what happens. The Trade Federation director is about to be assassinated. But that was just like just before when that finally clicked into my head, remembering reading that in Plagueis. But this has just a bunch of great tie-ins with it. It has, again, this is tie-ins made retroactively, although these are stuff that is explained more in Plagueis with the abdication of King Varuna and his death under mysterious circumstances. And while in this, you would have taken the assumption that Palpatine is the one that was done because you really have no one else to blame. Those are actually both because of Plagueis, and the reason we learn he abdicates the throne is because of his failed assassination attempt on Hugo de Mask, and the reason he's killed is because Plagueis wants to take him out for that attempted assassination on him. And I'm just going through this, honestly, it's super great. You get a lot of great characters. You get to look more into Valorum and just how Palpatine is rigging the system against him and is playing both sides, as he basically always expertly does in the prequels. You see him expertly playing on Valorum and pushing him for the Trade Federation to go and have to face this taxation of the free trade zones, while also working with others that want to take him down, and obviously working behind the scenes to make him be even more incredible. And then there's also the entire thing where he's able to tie up the Jedi, and will tie him up from calling on the Jedi and other of his powers, where he goes and creates this scandal against him. And just being the brilliant writer he is, Lucena was able to go and double down on this storyline in Plagueis, saying that is the reason that Bale Antilles went and lost the election for a new chancellor because he was a little too overzealous to take down Verona, and honestly, it's so brilliant to be able to go and build on his previous stories and be able to create this. I would love to see a copy of Plagueis that integrates really everything, kind of like the Dark Lord trilogy, although that one is just three separate books put together. Two of which I read, and the third of which I'm currently reading right now, which is Labyrinth of Evil. And very similar thoughts to that as this one of it being a great read and me being able to very easily get through it. I think I'm like 7 or 8 chapters in, and I've only read it for about half an hour. Not even that, I think it's like 20 minutes, but honestly, I just love Luciano's writing. I think he's so great. But going back to my early point, yeah, I just love how he's able to manipulate things and use stuff perfectly. He really understands the Sith and why they're so evil, and how they can be able to manipulate things from the shadows. And definitely why he is one of my favorite Star Wars creators of all time. In the back of my mind, I am working on a video. I don't know when it'll come out, but I'll be ranking the best Star Wars creatives besides George Lucas. So if you're interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments. But that's for a future video. And just continuing on with this, honestly, yeah, the story's really great. There is also the Nebula Front, and it also being manipulated by Sidious, and being put in the perfect position to go and take out the Trade Federation Directorate, making everyone think that they're going up against Valorum and trying to assassinate him. Everything there is interesting and really well told, and the one captain they have, I think it's pronounced Cole, although it's spelled in a Star Wars way, so Cohl. I'm assuming it is how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I haven't actually seen it pronounced anywhere, so not fully sure. But there's a great uh, a secondary antagonist of it where he is working against the Jedi until he's eventually captured and decides to work with them after he is betrayed by Havoc, who is the one leading the operation. And everything with him pretty solid. Also, I really enjoy the time with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in this. We had a great look at their master and apprentice dynamic. And just going through it, both are very entertaining characters. Qui-Gon is such a great character, and it's always great to get more of him. Same with Obi-Wan, but you get far less Qui-Gon because of him dying in episode 1. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. You get small looks at Naboo and everything going on there. And ultimately, it's just a really great, really enjoyable story that was just really exceptionally well done. Really, again, I loved Luceno as writing in Star Wars, and definitely in that video, he's gonna be ranking really, really high. I absolutely love Plagueis, and yeah, this is a very like basic Star Wars answer, but if you ask my favorite Star Wars novel has to be Plagueis. It is just honestly an incredible masterpiece, and just can't recommend it enough. And if my Restore the EU petition does work, I'd love to see Luceno return. Even if it doesn't, I would love to see him return to Star Wars because every time he comes, he writes absolute masterpieces. Some of the best books from the current canon, like Tarkin and Catalyst, were done by him. And yeah, honestly, Really, really solid story. Great setup, great tie into Plagueis and into the Phantom Menace in general. And it goes and explains how the entire conflict of the taxation of the free trade zones actually happened. So, yeah, it's really great, and I don't know what you think. Please leave me in the comments, and it's the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.